This is Rich Castle for Rich Castle Presents, and I'm here after the show in Brooklyn on September 18th of 2013 with none other than one of the best drummers in modern metal, or ancient metal, or middle metal, Mr. Joe Hasselvander of the band Raven.
Hello, 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 hello.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about the gig tonight. First of all, was had to be one of the most high energy gigs that I have ever witnessed played by a band in the New York City area for quite some time, and yet you guys are veterans. Joe, how's all this energy conveyed?
It comes from all the good Detroit bands, MC5, all the good shit, Blue Cheer, Amboy Dukes, everything I listened to as a kid.
Ken Nugent.
Ken Nugent, yeah.
Well, I'd like to talk about, I noticed some songs in the set tonight that I didn't expect. I noticed that there was at the end, you were joined by, who was that, Cactus?
Oh
Jimmy?
yeah, Cactus singer Jimmy Coons, extraordinaire, yes.
Ah, yes, he was, and Born to Be Wild just fits you guys so perfectly. Naturals for that one. Now, I heard something new tonight. What was that?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things. We did some old songs we haven't played in years. No, I don't think they've ever played, like Hard Ride.
Yeah.
A few others, Wiped Out off the first single.
Believe it.
And a few, we went back to some old chestnuts that, sounded really great, and we're trying to, just expand the set and have many different songs. Into the Jaws of Death from Nothing Exceeds Like Excess, which was my first album with the group back in the 80s, and we returned to a lot of the old haunts that the band used to be into. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Joe, I noticed that I would say that the band, you must be really revved up after. Yeah, you got, you people out there have no idea the energy that this band was putting out and the volume also to a packed room that everybody could just feel it. Joe, I want to know, first of all, to me, Mind Over Metal, Break the Chain brought the house down.
Yeah.
And I think All For One has been my favorite Raven album. For you, Joe, since you joined the band with Nothing Exceeds Like Excess in 1988, what has been your favorite album since you've joined the band in 1988?
Architect of Fear is the heaviest one, for sure. We did that in Germany in 89, 90, something like that.
Yeah.
And we recorded that in Germany.
Beautiful cover.
Yeah, it was, actually came together from a few jam sessions, and and we were just thinking, let's get darker, let's get heavier, let's do something a little different from what we did. And from those jams came some great songs. It was a great social commentary. I thought was really good for the band. More like a little more world commentary than just the usual metal lyrics. And then of course I love Walk Through the Fire, our latest album, because we kind of returned back to the old style.
Yeah.
And brought some of the new in with it, and a really great recording done down in Northern Virginia. It was an awesome studio we were in, and some good ideas. And we're, of course, now we're on tour for this new DVD, and Rock Until You Drop, Long Day's Journey, and has people like Dee Snider, Lars Ulrich, Chuck Billy, lots of people on it talking about the band, and has some great live material. It's about 4.5 hours worth.
Wow, that's a long DVD.
Oh yeah,
indeed.
double disc, yeah.
Oh, well, let's go back into the band's career since you joined, and after Nothing Exceeds Like Excess, forgetting about the EPs, even though those were noteworthy, there was Glow that came after that, which was kind of stately in my opinion, and I thought it really established a real. That's when the legendary feel of Ravens started to kick in. And here's a band that's not just a band, this is an institution. Now, I don't know if this was something that was the European audiences felt, the American audiences.
Well, we did Glow, and that was a deal we did in Japan, actually.
Huh?
To a record company called Zero Corporation. They don't exist anymore, but I think they signed everybody from Priest to Motorhead. We're all on this label. The guy went belly up at some point and signed too many bands and had to pay out, I think was what happened. But we did go to Japan, and so we wanted to make something special for them, because sometimes they like a few ballads. There's 3 ballads on that album,
Yeah.
which is unusual for Raven.
Right.
Maybe 1, not 3.
That's-
But we were trying to bring some of the stuff from Architect of Fear in, and then just kind of go into a new thing. Let John's voice do some talking for once,
Yeah.
and it turned out really good. It's a great recording, but I don't know. It kind of got lost in the sauce. I think there were so many bands out then that I don't know. Now I think it's heard more than it was then. So,
T-Rex.
but it was the beginning of a thing for us, and our trips to Japan and Asia and stuff like that. So,
Well, I gotta say that, I expected a drum solo tonight. I don't know why. You ever do one?
well,
I wanted one.
we had to get our friend Jimmy up there, and that was the important thing.
Well,
Jimmy, I used to play with Jimmy in an old band called Savoy Brown years ago.
Savoy Brown.
Oh,
Boy,
yeah.
I remember seeing them barefoot. That's
remember
what
that
Oh,
band.
that's Dave Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Jimmy was with us, and it was Gary Bordenero from the Rods, Doug McDonald from Blue Cheer, and one time Chris Romanelli from Plasmatics was in the band, and a lot of talented people went to that group.
Didn't that lead to Foghat?
Yeah, eventually, yeah.
Foghat, incredible.
yeah. Well, at one time, yeah, they were Savoy Brown, and they moved on and became Foghat.
You do hard ride, they did slow ride.
Yeah, right.
Now, there was an album that broke you guys, broke you guys wide open. For you, was Destroy All Monsters live in Japan.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool. It was they had the most expensive mobile unit in Japan come down, parked outside, and I went inside. It was like a freaking, inside of the Pentagon computer room. It was unbelievable. And then they did a really good job. It was a good show, and it was our first show in Japan.
Yeah.
And
Well,
pretty amazing. A lot of people at that show. And then, of course, we've done many since then, and it's always crazy in Japan. It's like super fans,
And then after that, you inverted everything by going for All for One, and then it became One for All was the album after that.
Great album.
That album, wow! It announced a new century for Raven.
So that, it was a full circle, because All for One was done by Michael Wagner, produced by him, and when we came back to do another album with Mike, it just seemed, hey, it's One for All. All for One, One for All. He did both of those records, and did a super job. What a great producer. I'm thinking this guy's going to tell me, or tell us, okay, that's pretty good, but could you just change this or change this? We finish the song, you go, next. And he goes, next time you guys come, don't write anything. Just do it right here live.
Wow.
Yeah, because he says we're one of those few bands that really, we play in real time.
Well,
We don't phone stuff in and trade files and all that crap. We get together as a band like we're supposed to.
yeah.
And get the vibe, get the feel, get the leaning, get the attitude going, and the swagger.
How
What you need to
many
have.
takes do you need? Because I watched
One.
Mark on stage tonight, and he's an animal.
It all sounds like one take me.
Yeah, it's all one big stuff.
Mark is an animal on stage. Well, of course, Joe. And let's stick with the albums now. After that amazing announcement for the century, the new one, One for All. What came after that?
Then we did Walk Through Fire,
Exactly.
which the name of it, all of our parents died about the same time. And Mark got in a terrible accident. We did Walk Through Fire. We were tested by fire. The band, most bands couldn't survive what we survived.
And didn't get burned.
They get burned, and we have had kids and all this stuff, and had to go through all this. And 9/11 happened. Everything happened. Luckily, I had some time to do some albums with Pentagram, which I played all the instruments on, and Bobby sang Sub Basement Review of Choices. That kept me busy.
Bobby Liebling?
Yeah, and I promised Mark, I said, hey, I'll be here when you're better. We'll be here for you.
What was that with Victor Griffin? I read so much about Victor's type of the way he handled the business wasn't exactly pristine.
Well, no, he does his own thing. He has his own way of doing things. I think he likes smaller venues and that kind of thing. Something that's a little more controllable for him. That's fine if that's what he likes, They come from more of a punk rock club background, hardcore punk background. Even though they're a metal band, do metal, that's kind of what they preferred. I want to play arenas, and that's how it's always been. And finding, Raven was like, I can really excel as a drummer with that band. I could pull off my jazz fusion roots with them, my Billy Cobham riffs, all my stuff. I could be what I want to be more with Raven. And I enjoy doing metal, but I'd rather play guitar doing that kind of thing.
When you were growing up, who were your influences?
Well, number one has to be Blue Cheer. I heard them when I was 12, and I saw the writing on the wall with that band. The music was going to go completely a different way than it had been going. Less pop and more experimental, and really they were the template of heavy metal. With the breakdowns, they take blues songs and just twisted it inside out and made it into what it is, which of course Zeppelin, everybody copied that. And even Sabbath, which they would never admit, but that's true. Cheer started it, MC5, people like that. Those are my influences. Black Sabbath, of course, and was lucky enough to tour with them in '94. I was playing drums for Cathedral. We opened up, and I met this girl on the road, and she's really nice. She doesn't talk back. She wears guitar sunglasses, and she also has pasties on her boobies.
Yeah, so, we got to keep it clean for us.
Yeah, this is for children.
Now, the thing is that you mentioned Black Sabbath, and I just can't believe that this is the man that took the cover of Black Sabbath and actually superimposed, should I say, who's in the background. It looks just like the first Black Sabbath album. I wish I had it right here with me.
Actually, it's not. It was an old barn by the studio, and this guy goes, why don't you stand over there and I'll take a picture of you. So we went through all the pictures, and I said, that's the picture. And then it was a black and white picture, because it was taken to the record company, tinted it, and did all this. I get it back and go, wait, it's the Sabbath cover. The Black Sabbath, it's the first Sabbath album.
Yeah.
But really, it was just a fluke. It wasn't meant to be that way, but that's how it turned out.
Now, that's the Hounds of Hasselvander.
Yeah, the Ninth Hour.
Yeah, Now, the Ninth Hour has almost a biblical meaning, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, in many ways, yeah.
Yes, the Ninth Hour is actually in there.
Yeah.
And
I'm not ashamed to talk about that.
No, we actually were playing the album, and we were saying, there's been bands that have sounded like Ozzy. There's been bands like Iron Man. There's bands like Witchfind the General. There are there's this whole subgenre of Sabbath doom bands. Now, Joe, it is quite different than what you do with Raven when you do your solo projects. And is that you on guitar?
That's me playing guitar, and Marty Swinney plays bass from Pentagram, and I play the drums and the guitar on it, and the vocals.
Sounds like a Gibson to me. What type of guitar do you play?
I have a 69 SG, Gibson SG, and it's a beast. It sounds great, and it's very big sounding. When I write music, I write, personally, my stuff's more like into a soundtrack aura around it, I like Ennio Morricone and these kinds of people that wrote great soundtracks. That's what I'm influenced by, because the best work of any musician is something they do for a movie. It's just something special. So I think that along those lines, and I listen to a lot of Italian library albums and that people have never heard of, super rare stuff that full of ear candy, percussion things and all, stuff jumping out of the stereo, and that's what I like.
As a recording artist myself, I use an SG, a Gothic Gibson SG from the year 2001 on my solo album, The Essence of Grace, Rich Cassell. But that's on iTunes, Google Play. Now, you, Joe, are planning a new solo album, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got it. It should be coming out in a few weeks. It's a tribute to all the bands I loved around from 1966 to 1970. I do songs by the Pretty Things, the Trogs, Blue Cheer, Jerusalem, Bang, Bob Seger System, Damnation of Adam Blessing, a few bands like that, and I picked some real good ones, and I have TC Tolliver from the Plasmatics playing drums, so it's a real-time band. It's Marty, TC, and I, and we got together for the first time just to rehearse, and it sounded like we'd been together for 50 years playing.
Yeah.
It was just instant, immediate, and these are my best buddies, and we recorded that album in one day.
Can I see one of those copies over there
What,
for fans?
What, the
Yeah.
DVDs?
Yeah.
They're both the same DVD.
Yeah, this is the DVD of Raven. That's the cover here. Signed copy, and it looks good. I mean, you need this. You definitely need this after experiencing
Super great thing.
tonight. Now the thing, you guys have been on a world tour with Raven, right?
Yeah.
Raven. And where has been? Tell me something interesting that happened along the way.
Well, there's many things, but I think the thing that struck me the most was going to South America, and we took a flight to Bolivia to play deep in the Andes, and when we got to the airport, and here's this big Raven banner on top of the roof of the place, and all these kids on the top going Raven. It was like the Beatles coming, to Shea Stadium or something. And then and I even came down the ladder onto the tarmac, and they're all going crazy.
Raven Lunatics.
Yeah, we got through customs, and the national news is there with the cameras in our faces when we got through. And so we were on the national news the next day and on a morning news show. And it was amazing, going through town, going through the countryside. People go, "Hey, I saw you on TV." It was cool because we really brought some high energy metal to Bolivia, and those fans were absolutely rabid.
I seen Rush, live, Rush in Rio, and Rush are, will look like they were surprised when they got to Brazil, and what was it, Brazil? Yeah. And they did like some nights in Brazil, and these fans, they just constantly hopping up and down.
Unbelievable.
That's
Unreal.
the way every audience, I think, should be.
That's the new place that's opened up for all heavy rock, and
Have you been to the Orient?
Yeah, well, we've been to Japan a few times, so that's about it. Not China or anything. Love to go, though.
There's a band from New York called Manowar that seems to go everywhere in the world. So is there any other exotic places that Raven is going to hit?
Well, we're going to play New Zealand soon, and Australia, with another trip to Japan, and that's about it. I would love to play South Africa or something like that.
That's a lot of jet lag, Joe.
I would do it because then I've been everywhere. I have traveled this globe with the band, and I didn't think that would ever happen, but I've been all over it. And it's a lot smaller world than you know.
Yeah.
And metal is big everywhere. I mean, freaking everywhere.
Who would you say are the leading lights kind of reigniting the scene these days?
Who's that? What's that?
Who would you say are the leading lights that are reigniting the scene these days?
Band-wise?
Yeah, band-wise, yeah.
Well, I think a lot, it's really weird. I think the doom metal scene, the stoner rock thing, even though sometimes it seems a little mundane and all, it's had a purpose, and its main purpose was to bring rock and roll and blues back into metal. Without blues and metal, it's mechanical, it's sterile, it's generic. You gotta have some blues to make it nasty, dirty, and heavy. Or else you don't have it.
That's the foundation of rock and roll. I mean,
and you're seeing the kids with the blues sensibilities, the blues leads, the progressions, but then with the heavy riffing, and people are singing again, actually singing instead of this Cookie Monster crap that I hate so much. And it's not music to me, that stuff. I want to hear something with a singer, a real song. I mean, it's really something when Venom sounds like Wagner today compared to what's out there. This death metal shit. I don't hate
Scorpions.
death.
I must say one thing about Raven is that yours between the Gallagher brothers, there's John Gallagher and Mark Gallagher. Mark Gallagher is on guitar, John is on bass, and I've never heard so much screaming from a band in all my life. That's what goes on, and you know what? It's so much fun. But these guys, they scream their asses off.
That's a strange thing because the three of us get together if we play in any separate band separately, we don't play like this. When we get together, Raven calls the shots. It's not us, it's Raven. That's the only way I can describe this. There's a central force there that makes us what we are. But when you're on stage, you suddenly realize, oh fuck, I'm in Raven. And we all feel like that. It's like, oh shit, we got to do this. And it's just, it really tells us what to do.
What's the biggest crowd that you have attracted on this tour, or what bills?
Well, the biggest crowd we ever played for since I've been in the band was 50,000 in Madrid. Back in '89 with Creator, we played outdoor festival in the middle of Madrid.
What year?
It was 89.
I was around
89.
Extreme Aggression at times.
And then we played, we played 30,000 and all that. A few years ago we played, all the big festivals in Germany and in France and Hellfest and all that stuff. And very big crowds, very, very big.
Those are some humongous festivals that they have out there.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
Where will you be playing? Where's your next gig going to be?
Our next one is in New Jersey tomorrow night. And then we're off to Connecticut, and then we're going to go zigzag back to Long Island, and then we're off to Quebec. And then we're going to hang out in Canada for a while, and then come down to the Midwest, and then we're off to the West Coast, co-headlining with Diamond Head, starting in Vancouver, and then working our way down through California and up through Texas and Colorado. And we have a few weeks off, and we're going to Europe with Girl School opening for us.
Girl School, now that's a name that I haven't heard for a while.
It's going to be an awesome package. It's already sold out. A lot of the gigs are sold out already. So it's going to be, big doings. And then it's just more and more. It just keeps going. This year's going to be a very, very busy year.
It's amazing. When you say Girl School, you know who comes to mind right away? What band?
Who's that?
Motorhead, of course.
Of course, yeah.
I mean,
I thought you were going to say the Runaways.
no, not the Runaways.
Because I love them too. Great band.
On the next, the Hounds of Hasselvander is a very special band because it's that doom, it's that Sab's doom thing. But I gotta say that out of all the bands that are doing the Sab thing, I like Iron Man as my favorite. I don't know. But when you do
Al
it,
Morris.
where did you come up with that style that's so much? Because he's my second favorite guitarist, Tony Iommi. Yeah.
A lot of influence. It's Black Sabbath and it's the Groundhogs.
Yeah.
People like that. I liked all the weird, discordant bands.
Mark, speaking of guitarists, hi, Mark. Maybe you could join us. Mark Gallagher has entered the dressing room of Raven, and he's got lots to do, and he did lots tonight. So I just sent the invitation across the room, and Joe was telling me about the crowds that they were attracting Raven and are continuing to attract, and the DVD is out now, and it's just amazing what is going on in the world of metal, in the world of Raven. You should see Mark Gallagher. He looks like he's ready for a hockey game. That's what he. that's what I see. And he's got nothing on. Blackie Lawless has got nothing on him. Let me tell you, that's body armor. There he is. Come on, Mark.
Can I put this one side for a second? I have to get a drink. I'm like very. Oh, I got movies.
As a guitar player.
Cut it.
Yes, sir.
Cut it.